Okay, I come back on now, and to tell you all a little more, I will say that as for this video, I might just kind of take care of all this while I'm taking care of my medicines, trying to get them in the right little compartments of the boxes because, you know, this is one of the things I have to do just to survive is take care of my medicines and live life, and got a lot of little different things I have to take them for. I'll tell you, in addition to everything else I've been dealing with, it's like on Thursday, and it's Saturday as I record, but on Thursday I had to go over to a dermatology office that my primary care doctor referred me to, and there was kind of a reason for that, not something we're going to have too much discussion here about because it might be a little too much. So I'd say at least that appointment went well. Nothing was really seriously wrong. Apparently, what the doctor found the first time around, it had gone away by the time I got there. And I do also want to say that, of course, there will be a little discussion on this video of how we're getting ready for Christmas and July shows, as I mentioned, but I do want to tell you all a little story before I kind of get around to getting to that part and mention to you that there's a little somebody I think needs prayer. I was at my Woodcarvers Guild meeting today and went there today just because next week is Founders Day, and it's been a few years since I've ever set up at Founders Day, since I've been busy about my work and my job and my other shows and things like that. But I will tell you all things, as far as how it's gone there, that one of the things I'll mention is that we had a man who used to carve with the guild like 50 years ago. This would have been before my time, before I was even born yet. I'm only 43, so that's kind of how that has worked out. And since he passed away, his wife brought along a lot of stuff that was his, and she donated it to us, and a lot of it was pieces that I had to be real selective about and be selective about what I chose, because I saw a lot of pieces there that I liked, and there were even some pieces that I put back as I went about and selected some others and decided they might be things I'd be more likely to carve than some other things were, and get some new shapes and patterns and ideas from. So I just decided I kind of took what I could use and kind of left the rest to everybody else to pick from, and then they just sort of, I'd say, just consolidated the boxes. I don't know what they ended up doing with the rest of what they had, but it could have been anything they did with it, and I'm just kind of glad that the work just goes along like it does, and hopefully I get to show some things that I might be making out of what I got out of that box. And I do want to mention that I did finish carving my poplar Santas today. That was the good thing about the show. I mean, not finished them, but got a little more work done into them. This was a soft enough wood that I didn't really need the power carver or really need to have it there to take a video or demonstrate or anything like that. It'll just be a little work come here and there. Got to count something here. And that's just the kind of way that we see how things go. I'm getting a little hung up on my words, but do need to tell you all that there was somebody I met today, and I think she needs a little prayer. There was a mother and a grandmother there who had a little girl with them there who kind of had some issues with her joints, and that was kind of the reason why, even though they are from West Virginia, they were here in Kentucky today because she goes to the Shriners Hospital, and they have an appointment for her next week at the Shriners Hospital, which is where her doctor is. So that is the reason why they were here in town. She seemed like a sweet little girl, but you know how it just goes with kids. And you know, some guys out there, they kind of got some stuff out for her and let her have a gouge, and they let her do a little carving. They even offered her a glove, but she refused to wear it. She said it was a little too hot for it. But you know, I mean, sometimes, you know, kids just kind of have to learn their lessons in life. And I'd say that, you know, it kind of went well. And but I'd say that was probably until it got up to the point that she kind of thought that her glove was too hot in there, and it was too hot to wear it. So by the end, she kind of ended up getting a little cut on her finger. And we just had some really nice guys in the guild who kind of did a little good thing for her. What they did was they took some super glue to cover the wound. They said it was just like that stuff they get from the drugstore, whatever it's called, that goes over wounds. And I mean, you know, it wasn't easy for her to go through that, and she kind of thought it was going to burn and all, but I'd say in the end it just kind of turned out to be just fine, and she got out just fine. And at the end, I mean, she didn't even want to keep her blanks that she was given. She just wanted to give the wood up completely, wanted to give up carving completely, even though it had only been her first day of doing it. And, you know, it all goes well. And, you know, like with me, sometimes I kind of gave stuff up a little bit at times as a kid because it didn't always kind of go exactly as I hoped for, exactly as I planned. And then once we hang in with what we got there, there's a little more we figure out. And that's kind of what I did. I got older and started learning to stay with things, even though little injuries are going to happen. And so I'd say the work did me really well. And there are some things in life that I work with and that I enjoy. And I say that sometimes a little extra time of preparation and doing the right thing kind of gets you a little more ready for it. That's what it did with me. It just did a wonderful work in my life. So as I get finished here, I'll get out the little Santa Clauses and tell you all a little more about them. The ones I've been painting that were carved from all those years ago. And I know there just seems to be a lot of talking to do on this video, but we're gonna measure it out a little bit at the best of the ways. Just got one more medicine bottle to find, and then we'll be ready to close this thing up. But as for how I want this little conversation to go, I've said a lot of what I need to say, but I do want to ask you all to keep the little girl in your prayers, because she is sweet. And you know, there are kids who have different kinds of health problems in different ways. And you know, even I've had mine all my life and been needing prayers in life myself. So it kind of goes well once you really get the hang of doing it. And I just feel like in this life, there's just a long ways to go. We're going to make it there eventually, just doing what we all ought to and need to do. I couldn't go outside today to do any carving or anything because my niece is at the house. She's only 3 years old, and so, you know, we kind of have to give her plenty of room to play. And it's kind of hard to do much around when you kind of got a kid around. So it just goes like it does. We are taking care of things with her the best we can. They just kind of came in town to stay with my parents for Mother's Day. Do want to show you all a little more about how these painted Santas are coming along. This one here, you can see that I have given one brown gloves and the other one a brown sack. The one with the brown sack is going to have green gloves, and the one with the brown gloves is going to have a green sack. That's how I'm going to sort out the colors a little bit there. You see that there's been a couple I've had here that I painted in crimson red and gave them the little brown eyes. So as for that in its concern, I sort of like, as you see, I do think that most of what's on here is stuff that's already been shown to you all. So there's probably just some extra work to add onto these. You see how we got this one here that has the green cap and the green coat and the silver beard, and you know, the little brown ruffle and little brown puff and the little brown sleeves. I say that I gave him little blue eyes because that would kind of contrast from his outfit a little bit. And see how we got this to go. That's how it's going to be. And as for what I got to say with this one, you see, it's just one where you probably might have seen before. I don't know if you did or not, that it kind of has a midnight garden cap and little ruffles and pom-pom that are of silver, and how I kind of got the sleeves painted midnight garden and a little vanilla white for the beard and mustache and the eyebrows. And one more to show. This one I ended up giving it like some kind of forest green something or another. I forget what that wood was called. I tell you, I can't even remember it, whatever this shade of green was, but it was one where I ended up giving it a gold pom-pom and a gold ruffle, probably end up painting the coat just like the hat and give it just some little, you know, gold little ruffles around the sleeves. And so that's how that has been coming along. I do want to say that I've taken little work where it needs to go. Do want to say that as for Founders Day next week, it'll be at McConnell Springs. Had some questions to ask about that. Don't know how much I'm going to be able to set up, how much space we're going to have to do it, because that's all stuff we just kind of have to wait till tomorrow to find out. And I'd say as far as a little work goes, this is how things are just going to come along. I hope to eventually get around to doing a video where I can demonstrate a little bit how I sewed the gingerbread man and how that work comes along to that. But there wasn't much time and much to do in this video or much to show as of this way. So as for now, I do think it's probably a time that we can kind of close things down for this video and say, hope to see you again soon.